Welcome to York View, an up-close look at York County. In this program, we'll learn about the people that keep the county running, and we'll visit a museum on the waterfront that celebrates the people that work on the water. But up first, a commemoration of a war that made quite an impact here in York County, and I'm not talking about the Revolutionary War. On April 12, 1861, artillery guns boomed across Charleston Harbor in an attack on Fort Sumter. These were the first shots of a civil war that would stretch across 4 years of tremendous sacrifice, with over 3 million Americans serving in battles whose names reach across our history. Now, just over 150 years later, we are in the midst of commemorating that conflict with the Civil War sesquicentennial. 2012 brings the commemoration to York County and the peninsula.
The sesquicentennial is actually the 150th anniversary commemoration of the Civil War. It started in Virginia back around 2006 when Virginia decided that they were going to commemorate the Civil War in this area. Anywhere the Civil War impacted the United States, you'll find some kind of events or ceremonies go on to commemorate that event. The Battle of Yorktown took place from approximately April 5th to May 4th of 1862. So that's why in York County we're commemorating it in 2012, because that's our 150th anniversary. In 2009, I found out about the sesquicentennial through the State Commission and immediately started to work on how we could be a part of that event. In early 2010, I was appointed by the county as an official representative to the State Commission, and we established the local sesquicentennial committee, which we have still going now. So we've been going on for really 3 or 4 years. A lot of the things that we have done since 2009 have been planning and getting ready for 2012. The sesquicentennial committee got together and we established some goals, we established some things that we wanted to accomplish. We've already accomplished a lot of those. One of the things that we've accomplished is we've gone through and made a listing of all the significant Civil War sites in the county. And we decided that one of the things that we want to leave as a legacy for our committee is information, GPS coordinates, exact location of a lot of the places, so that through development and future plans, the county doesn't forget that those things exist. As it were, we came out with a list of almost 70 different locations in the county that we've actually located, visited, got the GPS coordinates for, and now we can pinpoint them exactly on a map. A lot of these locations that we came across are locations that are actually in people's backyards, back lawns. They're in private property, they're in public property, they're in county property, they're in National Park Service property. So we're very careful to guard that information, especially the exact locations. Yorktown, of course, in York County has a number of sites that are really unique to the Civil War. We're standing right now in front of the Custom House, which was built around 1720. The Custom House not only was it significant during the early history of the county, it was significant in the Civil War as it was the headquarters building for General John B. Magruder, who was commander of the Confederate forces in Yorktown. One of the Confederate artillery batteries was stationed right across the street over here. We have contrasting photos of what it looks like now, what it looked like then. And of course, the Nelson House was used as both a Confederate hospital and a Union hospital during the Battle of Yorktown. It's very hard to go anywhere in Yorktown where there isn't some significance to the Civil War. It's just a very unique place. Yorktown became a major port for this Peninsula campaign. If you go back and look at the photographs of the waterfront in Yorktown, during that period of time, you'll find out that it was a major import place for artillery, ammunition, all kinds of supplies and equipment. And it's really funny to see one of the photographs of the bottom of Compton Cross Street, where you see just stacks and stacks of cannonballs and cannons and all kinds of artillery. Back in October, some of us from our local sesquicentennial committee went over to Gloucester County to see a play called Kiss My Little Girls, 1861. We are bringing it to Yorktown in November. It's very interesting and it's very appropriate for Yorktown and York County because the soldier, Richard Watkins, was actually stationed in Yorktown from September of 1861 to May of 1862. I think people will really find that interesting. Over a 10-day period, we're going to have 8 different performances, which I think may be one of the longest events I think we've ever had in York County to cover over that period of time. But we're really excited about that. Back during the Civil War, Poquoson was a part of York County. So up until last year, Poquoson was one of the few sites in the state that was not involved in the sesquicentennial. So we were able to convince Poquoson to come on board as part of our committee in York County, which was kind of good. So since that time, Poquoson has been involved in the form of the Poquoson Historical Society and the Poquoson Museum. So we've branched out now and covered a lot of this area, and we have a lot of things that affect all of those areas as well.
See, these are open touring cars. These are like my car.
One of the unique things that we've done is we started a series of Hunt for York County's history. And what we actually do is we go out and we pick one of the schools in the county.
That's Lydia Butler, I think. That's Dolores Reagan she was.
So we ask local residents to bring in old photographs, old family documents, anything that they thought was relative to York County history. Any documents that we get in or any photographs that we get in that are relative to the Civil War, we've already made arrangements with the state of Virginia that they will accept those documents in the archives there. So we're kind of serving a dual process there.
York County has a number of events scheduled for the sesquicentennial. Find out more by visiting the county's website at yorkcounty.gov, click on Parks and Recreation, and check out the events calendar. For more information on events on the peninsula and throughout Virginia, visit virginiacivilwar.org. Coming up after the break, my favorite story on this month's program. Stay tuned for more of York Views.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
Learning how to kickflip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point there, Smokey.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Nice.
Yes, go! Yes, yes, yes! No!
Oops.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Welcome back. Now, our next story is near and dear to my heart. You see, I work for the organization in York County that really keeps things moving, literally. Vehicle maintenance is responsible for pretty much everything that has an engine. And that's approximately 400 vehicles, including those operated by the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office and the Department of Fire and Life Safety. The division is also responsible for the upkeep of turf equipment, construction equipment, and standby power generators.
It's more so with the medic units and the fire trucks because they stay plugged in. They have an onboard battery charger.
We have approximately 400 rolling stock, and we've got another couple hundred or so heavy equipment, trailers, grounds maintenance equipment, bulldozers, lawn cutting equipment. I've worked with most of these guys for quite a number of years, and they're a great bunch of guys. Good to work with, work real well together. We have 7 techs on the floor and 1 person in parts to handle all of that equipment.
How do they get it all done?
Well, one piece at a time. Of course, scheduling, takes a lot of shifting around. We have to wait on parts. We go on to the next piece of equipment. At the end of the day, we do a fairly good job in getting out on time with not much downtime. It's maybe not so much what I do, it's what they do and how they get along with each other. We have the tools that we need to get the job done in the shop, preventative maintenance to prevent breakdowns. Of course, with vehicles, that's can't always happen 100% of the time, so if and when they do break down, which gratefully for us, it's not all that often, but when they do, we're able to make the repairs and get them back on the road as quickly as possible. When the technicians make suggestions, we always listen to that, and we normally incorporate those suggestions because they're the ones out there doing it and they know what works.
Our technicians, they're challenged with different projects. It's not just your typical oil change and tire rotation, if you will. Two of the projects that we were involved in that our technicians really kind of had to go outside the box, if you will, was our chair carrier and our sled for fire and life safety. In this sled that our guys fabricated for this vehicle was different compartments where the fire and life safety department could store certain things and certain components of their first aid and other areas that they wanted. But the beauty of this was it would pull out, made everything right there very convenient, easy access. And another great part of this was it's not just particular for this truck. This thing was retrofitted, but it could go in any combination of trucks if they were to take it out of this one in particular. Having a challenge like this, I think, really gets the blood flowing for these guys. The chair carrier was something that was fabricated for the freight shed building on the waterfront. There's a lot of chairs for that facility, and instead of having to ferry those one by one or in a van or in a truck, one of our technicians here was able to fabricate a trailer, and basically all the employee working at the freight shed would have to do was pull the truck up, attach to the trailer, and all the chairs could be ferried right to the freight shed. Being able to see the end result of their work in action, I would say for them has got to be very rewarding.
We always try to do the best we can, and on occasions when we've sent out comment cards and we've had sit-downs with other departments, the comments have always been positive and really appreciative of the attitude that we have in making sure that their vehicles are working and out and fixed as soon as possible.
The tester showed good recharge. Sometimes when you recharge them, they come up all bad.
ASE has an award for shops that have at least 75% of their technicians ASE certified. We've received this award, which is the ASE Blue Seal of Excellence Award for the last number of years, which is quite a distinction and one of the few municipalities in Virginia that have received this award.
You'll see a 3-story brick house, and that's the Nelson house, and it's got a cannonball stuck between the upper windows.
York County has 2 vintage-looking trolleys that operate in historic portion of Yorktown.
Okay, this is Main Street.
And they transport passengers throughout the historic village of Yorktown on a continuous loop.
2 leaving Victory.
Our 2 trolleys operate 7 days a week. We run from April to the end of October, and we transport roughly 100,000 passengers a year.
When nobody wants off, they'll just do a loop, see what it's all about here.
We're responsible for the day-to-day operations of those trolleys, everything from scheduling of the drivers to driver training and driver education on what's going on in Yorktown.
One of the few bridges left in the United States that opened up from the center out.
To the actual maintenance of the trolleys.
They keep them very well maintained. We look them over every morning on our pre-trip, and we check the oil. And in 4 years, I've never found any problems.
We do have a parts department where we keep everything from your tires to anything as small as a fuse or a battery of sorts, and everything in between, filters and hoses, fittings, all sorts of stuff. Our fire and life safety vehicles and our police vehicles, you know, we want those to have as minimal amount of downtime as possible, so we do try to stock those commonly used parts in these vehicles, where if we have an ambulance, for instance, come in, we can have that part ready and turn that vehicle around in a matter of no time and get it back out on the road. We have a number of generators throughout York County. We have them at schools, we have them at all the fire stations, we have them at select sites throughout the county. And we have a preventative maintenance program that we have on those generators where we go out, make sure they're running properly. We have a weekly exercise on each of those generators, so they start up automatically each week. We want to make sure they're running properly. Here in York County, we have 3 fuel sites. Each of these sites has underground tanks, and in total we can hold about 80 to 85,000 gallons worth of fuel at any one time, of diesel and unleaded. Fuel is a big use, obviously, in York County for all of our vehicles, all of our turf equipment, and then the school system also uses our fuel sites. So you can imagine the amount of fuel the school buses go through during the school year. With the fuel purchase, we're also responsible for the day-to-day maintenance of these fuel sites.
Check the air filter out.
It is a unique shop and a unique staff, and they are definitely essential to our daily operations. I think it's a one-stop shop, and for my division, grounds maintenance and construction, they maintain everything from a weed eater, a string trimmer, all the way up to our track loaders, bulldozers, skid steers, and then everything in the middle with our work trucks and trailers and lawn mowers, the specialized athletic field equipment.
We change the oil every 100 hours on the utility vehicles. The alcohol that's in the fuel these days makes all the plastic stuff seem brittle.
You know, it's not many shops that do all those different facets of work.
You looking for a weed eater, Chico? There's one here. It's going to be ready in a minute.
It is definitely a cost savings here. I mean, just to maintain all of our equipment.
Choke it.
I don't know how many different shops we'd have to run around to, and you know, to get our stuff maintained.
Yeah, it's ready. I was just making sure the tire wasn't going to go down.
Oil change, replace blades, and that lug nut that snapped off.
The whole stud is gone?
Yeah, right down to the rim.
It's kind of like a family atmosphere. It looks like they look out for each other and work hard and work well together. And then, you know, being a part of the county, it's a win-win situation.
I really relish being a part of this team. We're collectively together. We all have our individual role, but our main goal is to keep these vehicles and equipment up and running.
Satisfaction in fixing a vehicle and seeing it go out the door and not come back.
Several county-affiliated organizations have vehicles serviced by vehicle maintenance, including Colonial Behavioral Health, Historic Triangle Senior Center, and the Virginia Peninsula Regional Jail, just to name a few. As you can imagine, all of this keeps us very busy. After the break, we'll head down to the waterfront for something that is both educational and fun. We'll be right back.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Oh, jackpot.
Hello, I'm Sheriff Danny Diggs. What you have just seen is occurring all too often in our community. Your sheriff's office is on patrol 24/7, but we can't be everywhere all the time. That's why we need your help to reduce this very preventable crime from occurring. Thefts from motor vehicles have spiked dramatically in our area and constitute the #1 reported crime. In almost every one of these incidents, thieves are checking cars for unlocked doors. Once they find an unlocked vehicle, they rummage through looking for valuables.
Oh, sweet, a gun.
Simply locking your vehicle doors at all times will remove this opportunity, as most thieves do not want to break glass and attract attention. Removing valuables from view will also help remove the temptation to steal. While York County remains a safe place to live and work, we should all take basic precautions to help eliminate or reduce the opportunity for crime to occur. Please feel free to contact the Sheriff's Office, Crime Prevention Unit, with any questions on additional ways you can help prevent crime in your community.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to York View. The Chesapeake Bay plays a vital role in our lives and culture. For more than 25 years, the Watermen's Museum has shared the stories of the men and women who have worked the water piloting ships, ferrying goods and people, and fishing for our delicious seafood. The stories are fascinating, and the best part is the museum is right here in York County.
Back during the bicentennial celebration of the victory at Yorktown,
we have been trusted with freedom.
A group got together as part of the committee that was doing activities, and Marion Bowditch decided that it would be neat to have a museum that talked about the role of the little people. And of course, that included the men who worked the water and worked the ships and the waterfront. The museum started out very small and was kind of an intimate gathering spot, and back in the late 80s, the Kubickis donated this house and outbuildings on land that the Hornsby and Bowditch families donated, and we were able to move it over and then expanded the exhibits from there, and we've been expanding in recent years as well.
Clams, crabs, oysters, and fish. How do you think he catches crabs? It's a crab pot. That's how they catch the crabs.
We are getting bigger and bigger and more popular. The school programs are growing, and our summer camp is exceeding our expectations for how many new kids are signing up each year. So we're thrilled. We're now serving audiences. We had done a lot of work with preschool and early elementary. We continue to grow with that group, but now we're also doing programs for middle schoolers and high schoolers.
If you count 43 feet, there's a tag hanging in the other room. Okay.
The Gallery 1 is kind of an introduction to the working watermen of the Chesapeake Bay, and we talk quite a bit about what the Chesapeake Bay estuary is and why it's such a productive fisheries habitat. But we also talk about the 400-year history of people working the water here on the York River. You know, in the early days, prior to the American Revolution, almost no watermen fished for a living. They were in the business of transporting goods, and mostly that product was tobacco. Then we moved to the 19th century very quickly, because that's when fishing in the modern waterman sense takes off. And so we have examples of boats, we have examples of engines, which have, again, another key element in the growth of the marine trades, and takes us right through to the 20th century. We have representative examples of many of the types of vessels that have become part of life on the Chesapeake Bay. One of the things that we're trying to do is restore all the boats that we have in our collection, and there are some pretty unique ones, including the log canoe from 1905, as well as a shad boat, where we went from a sailing community to one of power boats. And then we have another gallery that talks about the modern fisheries that we have in the bay right now, which include clamming and crabbing, oystering, as well as the commercial fisheries like the Menhaden fleet. One of the other things that we've started doing here is we have a pretty active boat building program now. And so we have people that come 3-4 days a week and are either restoring boats or building new boats. And this is something that we don't only do with the boat building crew, but we also include as part of our school programs. And we have various students who return on regular basis to build boats with us. Part of that process, you're also learning about the history of the bay and the different types of vessels and what they were used for and how the ecology and the fisheries on the bay have changed over the last 400 years. You know, Yorktown was such an important seaport in the 18th century from 1691 until 1750 or so, that we wanted to bring back that proud maritime presence of Yorktown, and we want people to appreciate their maritime history. We also have the new windmill. People say, well, what does the windmill have to do with the watermen? But I want to refer back to the fact that for most of the history of the Chesapeake Bay, watermen were people who worked to ship goods. And the reason that we had a windmill here in Yorktown was because people were bringing their grain and then taking their flour away. And that windmill was part of the vibrant economy that was Yorktown in the early 1700s. One of the other really exciting things we're doing is we have some schools, including the Williamsburg Montessori Middle School. We've taken our education programs and really gotten the kids' feet wet. And so whether kids come here for a day program or an hour program, or if they're here on a daily or weekly basis, we're getting them wet.
Don't be afraid, it's gross. You love gross.
And getting right down there at the water's edge to learn about these animals and ecosystems up close.
They were pretty small when we got them. Probably
They were
about
much
this big.
smaller than this. Yeah. They all grow in different shapes as well.
Take them down to the dock and throw them in the water. Wood bends very easily this way, okay? Wood doesn't very well bend this way. It's been in the water for about 3 or 4 hours, and then it'll bend quite easily.
They're going to find people who are enthused and excited about the maritime history of the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, we'll keep this point.
To come down and to be so near the most important estuary in the United States. Last spring, we were excited that we renovated our gift shop. We had had a large separate structure for many years, and that was wiped out by Hurricane Isabel. And we were kind of in interim digs for a long time, and so we made the decision to update our gift shop, and it's kind of a neat experience now. Very, very beautiful space, and we're excited about it. One of the biggest efforts that we've undertaken in the last couple of years is to broaden our membership. And we had a very limited number of people being members of the museum for quite some time. And we've been really successful at increasing the number of families and younger people who are at the museum on a regular basis. And we're really proud about that.
Waterman's Museum is a perfect addition to any visit to Virginia's historic triangle. The museum offers programs and events year-round. To find out more, visit watermans.org. That's all for this episode of York View. Hopefully you have found the program to be informative and entertaining. Remember, you can tune into WYCG TV for all the latest in York County news, information, and entertainment. Thanks for watching. I'm Chad Edmondson.